close to reaching my wit's end. Holding out, but I'm about to blow it up like a volcano. Another day to lose control. There's a fire in my bones. My sight gets blurry, pushing back the tears. Should take a leap of faith and face my fear. I blame it on the voices that are in my head, wondering if they'll ever be put to bed. Feels like I am close to reaching my wit's end. Holding out, but I'm about to blow it up like a volcano. Like a volcano. Blow it up like a volcano. What you do, what you do, what you do to me? Can't you see what it means when you set me free? What you do, what you do, what you do to me? Can't you see what it means when you set me free? Blow it up like a volcano.
Got drunk off your love, and I lost myself again. You hit just like a drug. This time I won't let you in. You're playing with fire. No, I didn't numb the pain, but this time I won't collide like I did yesterday. Yesterday, you broke my heart once again. I won't buy the dust in return. I can't give it
Tiene la pócima para enloquecerme, pero voy a draw the line, que yo ya sé que es de ti.
I got to stay away, got to stay away.
Sé que como un trofeo quieres tenerme,
Pero I don't need no one.
que yo ya sé que es de ti.
I got to stay away, got to stay away. No, 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 baby, no, 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 no setbacks. No, 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 baby, no, 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 this time. You broke my heart once again. I won't buy the dust in return. I can't give in, I can't give in. I won't give in this time. You broke my heart once again. When you bad, but you bad it for me. I can't give in, I can't give in. I've already run like the wolves, far from the light of the day. I can't go back to you, I'm stronger today. Been to the dark side, I don't know. So if you wanna shoot far away, I won't go back to you. I'm stronger, I'm stronger, I'm stronger today. I'm stronger today.
There you were on the other side of the room. Place was filled, but all I could see was you. You're magnetic, captivating, and you know it's true. Sent a smile and you started to make your way through. The crowd, it grew so loud. You and I didn't even care. I never wanna get used to the sound you whispering in my ear. I've loved you
Hello, and welcome back to yet another game coming out of the NACE 2024 spring season. Oh, it's so nice to be able to say that again. Wednesday ended up being a little bit of a disaster as our regularly scheduled 2 series turned into regularly scheduled 1 series, turned into no series. Ended up having a pretty nice series, Michigan versus UCSD, in the 10 o'clock window, but unfortunately wasn't me casting that one. Did stay up to watch the entire thing, ruining my sleep schedule a little bit, but it was a fun series regardless. I do advise you go check that out. University of Michigan squad did end up casting that one, so if you haven't had the pleasure, they stream on YouTube. They're going to be handling Michigan's games from here on out, and you should make sure to go check them out. Once again, using my administrative powers to get the lobby set up, so apologies if I am a little bit distracted as we get the draft underway and we get things kicked off here, but exciting match coming up, USF versus Brown. This one was one that we actually wanted to handle Wednesday night, did end up getting pushed last minute to tonight, and we're kind of continuing the trend here in NACE of every match getting rescheduled, so things still very much up in the air for what matches are going to happen, but we can dive into the NACE schedule a little bit later on in the broadcast, as looks like the lobby is getting up underway, so I will go ahead and throw it over to the draft. Apologies again for being just a little bit late, as it looks like the draft might be broken as well. Give me just a moment to set that up. Let's see if that's going to come through for us now. Maybe just have to give it another second. Oh, I don't appreciate that it's not coming through. Hang on. See if we can't switch off of it and switch back on. No, looks like our draft overlay is not quite coming through. So let me go ahead and toss it into the game while I do figure this one out.
Radiant team back.
Just need to get our draft config set up, and things can be a little bit hesitant to load for the first time.
Remaining.
So it can be a little bit rough, but I do promise it is up and running, and as you can see, we are into the game. Both of these teams have set up their banners properly. I do believe these were set up well in advance as well, so appreciate you guys there, making sure everything looks good on our end. And you won't get to hear me lecture too much about banners this season, as with this new draft overlay that I'm setting up, don't really need to deal with it too much. So they don't actually come up in the draft overlay, only inside of the actual game, and they're a little bit more hidden, and there we go. Just gonna make sure that we're on the right side here, and then we should be good to go. And yeah, looks like our logos are actually slightly flipped, so go ahead and fix that. If anyone does know how to deal with the Dota game state integration, something I'm trying to learn as we get the draft display up and running. It's a little bit ugly, but something that I would like to work with more in the future, and would like to get some more involved, some team icons, something that's not just, you know, this beautiful mug to do the draft analysis. But for now, I think it's going to be, you know, live with what we got, as takes a lot more time to get things set up than you might think, or than I might hope. Either way, you know, hello, welcome. First time I'm kind of getting to settle in and get to see things going in this draft, in this series. So welcome to the series. Welcome to Brown versus USF. It's going to be an exciting series, and I did mention earlier that it's a pretty big matchup. It's a matchup that I think is going to be a lot of fun to watch. We should have a pretty evenly matched game here as well. So looking for it maybe to go the distance, looking at least for game number 1 to be competitive, and not going to comment too much more on the rest of the series for now. We'll save that for a little bit later on in our broadcast. But hello, hi, I'm Cool Hands. My nameplate's gone, but you know, keep watching all the NACE games here. Twitch.tv/CoolHandsDota will be bringing you more games throughout the season, throughout our 7-week regular season, throughout our 3 weeks of playoffs as well. So going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be running through, I believe it's mid-April. Let me actually dig out the entire season schedule real quick, because it's something I haven't talked about so far on any of the broadcasts, actually. But it's something that I think is, you know, nice to just have an overview of where we're going in the league. Actually, I have to scroll kind of far to find it. It's funny. I posted it long ago, but it has gotten away from me for now.
Radiant team ban.
See if we can't find. But I believe we're going through mid-April. Yeah, here we go. Wednesday, April 17th, going to be the finals. So regular season running through March 20, and then the playoffs start April 3rd, following week April 10, and April 17th going to be the grand final. So talked about before, top 4 teams in each of the divisions going to make the playoffs. It's an 8-team playoff, 3 weeks to crown an overall champion. We do have some extra games in the regular season now with the 9-team groups. Every team going to play 8 matches with 1 bye week, so total of 9 rounds in our 7-week playoffs means that things are going to get a little bit hectic in the ending weeks of our season. We end up playing Mondays and Wednesdays instead of just Mondays, so I'm going to do my best to provide comprehensive coverage of those last couple weeks, but it is going to be stretched pretty thin. So do make sure you're checking out streams like the Michigan broadcast. And as I identify any other teams or players who regularly stream their games, I'll make sure to point those out as well and try and get a little bit more full league coverage and, you know, make sure that we're dividing our games so that we're not stacking up broadcasts on top of each other as well. Brown, a team after my own heart. The early phase Luna coming out after the Oracle pickup. Just getting into the draft a little bit here as Luna, a hero that really appreciates having the steroids and Oracle. Happy to provide those as well. So, duo, kind of the match made in heaven, these two. Your lane ends up pretty nice as well. And it's one of the few lanes on Luna where I think you can go the magic build, at least put a couple of points into Lucent Beam. And with the Purifying Flames, you just have incredible pressure. So even against Doom, gonna have some chance to be a strong presence in this lane and start to beat back Doom, who traditionally has been one of the stronger offlaners in the recent patch. Something else to consider on the front of this draft, and it's the first match I'm casting on 7.35C. Didn't see too many changes across the board, just saw a lot of strong heroes get nerfed, and some of the weaker heroes, well, they pretty much stayed unchanged, but some item changes were the main takeaways that I had reading those patch notes. Sange buff across the... I mean, Sange, Yasha, and Kaya all got, you know, slight price changes, got slight tweaks. But the extra status resistance from Sange just feels so nice to play with. And you can see a lot of SNY heroes coming back into the meta and resurging is an early trend throughout this patch. And I'd expect it to continue as well. Saw the slight BKB buff as well, so... hero like Razor there just really makes me think that, you know, this style of get in your face, go SNY, and be strong can just be, you know, the new style of play, but we'll have to see how it shakes out. One of the biggest winners as well this patch to me seems to be the Medusa. With the Disperser nerfs, Medusa gets one less natural counter in the game. Also, the Revenant's Brooch, a very viable option for the level 25 Medusa to go for in the late game. No longer drains all of your mana, only 50 mana per hit. So, a nice late game pickup option there, and Medusa was already feeling pretty strong before the patch came through, before the nerfs came through to some of the heroes that she didn't want to play into. And notably among those are some of the more cancer heroes. Lone Druid got tremendously nerfed, as well as the Arc Warden and the Meepo. So these heroes that, you know, are maybe pub ruiners, heroes that you never want to find in your games, never want to find last picked against you, and always make you let out that little groan before the game even starts. Well, these heroes did get significant nerfs in the 7.35C patch, so looking forward to seeing how that does shake up the meta. I think, despite it being what seems to be a smaller patch, there were quite a few changes that may at first glance fly under the radar, but can have some pretty strong power to shake up the meta. Like I was saying, namely the Sange changes to me seem like, while they may seem small on the surface, you see extra evasion coming out, you see extra status resist coming out. Halberd seems to be a very strong item, even potentially Radiance coming back into the meta here, so have to see how that changes, what carries are picked up, what mids are picked up, and the overall tempo of drafts might change as well. But that's just a little overview of the patch in my humble opinion.
10 seconds remaining.
We'll get back into the draft here as the things like, seems like each team actually taking a pretty different approach to how they want to start off this draft. Brown, well, I was going to say they were going for a pretty solid lineup, but with this Nyx, going to look to maybe bring the tempo forward onto USF. And the USF side, they do have a couple of the squishier heroes in the Clinks, in the Disruptor. Nyx going to be able to find these back lines, and I do think Luna early on for Brown gave them a lot of flexibility in this draft to let the squishy sports come out for USF before picking up this Nyx. So if this was planned throughout the draft, I really appreciate the pick orders that they went for. See way too many teams picking up position 5, then position 4, or position 4, then position 5 in their first 2 picks. Especially here in NACE, and it can just limit the flexibility of your draft, right? But Brown doing a good job not revealing too much while maintaining that they're going to have a very strong safe lane. And did see that early matchup into the Doom as well.
10 seconds remaining. Dire team ban.
Still, USF, no slouches in their own right. Get a Templar Assassin pickup, which is a very comfortable hero for them. And USF, they are used to playing from ahead, and Disruptor, one of the heroes that loves to do just that. Can feel a little bit soft when you're playing from behind, easy food to find, and not so easy to set up kills from behind with the Glimpse, but when you are ahead, enemy team running away, you're always able to drag them back, pull them right back into the team. So if USF do look to take an early lead like they often do in these NACE games, they will be able to capitalize on that with the Disruptor, and I'm sure that's the idea in their minds, is just to take over games early and often. And I think it is yet to fail for them in this season and really throughout the league. USF has been one of the premier teams in this NACE league over the last couple of seasons, and don't expect this season to be any exception.
Seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
So going into these last picks here, see how each team does decide to round out their draft. USF, a lot of flexibility. I would like to see this Templar Assassin most likely in the safe lane role. I think that you can find a better matchup into the puck in the mid. But we will see how they decide to lane it. Brown, we're banning out the safe laners to come through, so running out of reserve time, see what they do decide to pick up. It will be the Slark, so TA going to be handling the mid, and Slark, not a hero that's going to be stealing too much jungle, so TA, always going to be able to take up that jungle space while Slark continues to be aggressive. Now, Slark is an interesting case because I haven't made up my mind on exactly how this hero feels post 7.35C. Mage Slayer was a pretty critical part of the Slark's kit, made him pretty happy to jump on the back lines, and that item did get a substantial nerf, the Mage Slayer. Not that it's not worth picking up, but definitely has its games now instead of being a must-have pickup. The last pick, Mars, coming out for Brown. This is a hero that proven to be a staple in the most recent series of pro matches. GM going to be handling that one up, and it's going to be a pretty strong Mars game. I mean, you do have a little bit of a tough lane into the Slark, but it's not as one-sided as it might seem with the Essence Shift, because Mars is able to put out so much damage in the early game, in the early lane, that Slark not able to just stick on you and hit, and especially with the Nyx Assassin, they're going to have plenty of stuns to set up potential spear combos. You're going to be laning with a Disruptor, the Slark, so not the most potential for save coming out either, so definitely going to be a pretty double-edged lane coming out on this Dire safe lane. And I think I have to give the edge in terms of the draft over to Brown. I think the Nyx may be a little bit out of place in my mind, but I feel like Nyx often occupies that hole of, if you're not winning, it's almost like how I was describing Disruptor. If you're not ahead on the Nyx, it feels like you are just a little bit superfluous. But otherwise, I think their draft is pretty cohesive. They're setting up for Luna to have a good game, and they have the heroes behind to make the space in the Mars and the Puck. So have to give a slight draft edge for them. However, USF, I think that their draft has merit, and like I was saying, with the Clinks, with the Disruptor, if they are able to come out ahead as they would desire to, and maybe as they expect to, then they'll be able to just punish pretty hard.
Prepare for
They'll be able to punish pretty hard any, I guess I'll call them the missteps or missed engagements. It puts a lot of pressure onto the Brown side if you are able to get ahead with Clinks, with Disruptor, because any step that you make, you need to be ready to either full commit to a fight or leave one hero behind. And there's really no exception to that rule. So looks like we're going to have a pause straight away into the game, but you can see we are underway with game number 1, USF versus Brown. Going to be an exciting matchup to bring you guys, and I'm excited to be back in the saddle. You know, did miss yesterday, as I said, casting, and sometimes, you know, reschedules give it, the reschedules taketh away. Yesterday, the reschedule's definitely doing more taking away than giving. But you know what that means is we just have more matches later on in the week that we'll have to check out and see which matches we can bring you in coverage and see which matches you might just have to take a look at, take a peek at on your own. One of those matches, by the way, was a forfeit. The University of Toronto nighttime series ended up being a forfeit win. Thanks, Hunter. Really appreciate you. Now we can just get back into the game and might appreciate that a little bit more. If anyone is taking a look at the website standings instead of just watching the stream, USF in as a forfeit win, obviously not going to be the case. We'll get that one resolved after the match as well. And the pause before the horn gave the players a little bit of time to, you know, flex on my ego. So appreciate you guys, but just bring me some good Dota to cast. I love doing these casts, and hopefully this league has been a lot of fun for the players, and see what we have going forward in terms of the league, something we can probably talk about after game number 1 as well. But who's interested in that now? Is the horn's gonna sound, runes are gonna spawn, and for all the tension in the mid lane, things should shape up to go about even. Say's down bottom, a little bit of a skirmish breaking out. So far 2 runes for Brown. It looks like, oh, it will be the 3rd rune for Brown actually picked up top, and Mabu in some trouble. Getting run down. See if there's not another slow. The blood grenade was used, and it's like the tar bomb not going to be enough to chase down the Oracle. So everyone will show back up to lanes. Luna going to get a little bit of free space on this first one, but things will end up even. And go ahead and take a look towards our mid matchup, our marquee matchup of the game, Puck versus TA. This is a matchup as old as time itself. This is probably one of the first mid matchups we actually even had in Dota 2. There's select few mid matchups that are this old, and a very skill matchup as well, where Puck gonna be able to find the right click attack dodges, but TA always going to be looking for the side blade spill. And while this matchup has evolved over time, the skill builds certainly have changed as well. Still looking at a pretty similar dynamic at the end of the day. Look at that, Magic just on cue, using silence as it was intended on the game's release. Not getting caught up by needing to move with this spell, just going to cast it in place. It's one of the things I think is actually the craziest about Puck in my mind, is that we're so used to now having this this silence ability have the jump on it that it used to be cast in place. Down bottom, Lyric falling low. Looks like he won't end up being run down. But that has got to be the most insane to me, is that it feels so natural that Puck can use the silence to jump around. Definitely was not the case. Even recently was not the case, or recently in my mind at least. I know it's been some years. But I digress. A couple of minutes into the game, and looks like the support's each going to snatch up a water rune. Yakola's saving it for his buddy. Gonna end up being Magic with the bottle. He's got the orb, but not going to be able to find it, so Unfortunate that that water rune is left there. It's having to be able to get the full bottle up and maybe put a little bit of pressure onto this mid lane. Still go take a peek at the side lanes. All's been relatively quiet aside from that one go onto the Clinks on the bot side. Didn't end up finding a kill, but talk about these other side lanes as well. Like I said, not being run at by the Slark, but also Slark having a pretty nice time. And 6 denies to his name as well. Feels pretty nice for the Slark early on. Get that early level advantage. Still with the creeps pushing in, Brown gonna have a pretty good time. The stuns come through, but Glimpse, well, it's gonna be able to secure the Lotus. And on the bot side, Lyric grabs it of himself, so USF going to be able to grab both the early Lotuses here and see if they can apply any pressure off the back of it. It's not going to be the easiest into these lanes to find pressure off the back of the Lotuses, but we'll be able to try. And Giam looked like he might have been in a little bit of trouble, but the Glimpse not going to be thrown out, and all will return to normal. So 3.5 minutes, no first blood. Lanes shaping out relatively even, as each side still looking for that first move, still looking for that first misstep over in the side lanes. Start to turn things into their favor, but for now, just going to have to deal with some minor harassment. As we click around the supports as well, looks like there's still plenty of regen. Need to go back and forth a little bit as we see some small goes, but nothing too major in terms of commit. I say is Dob. Well, he's looking forward, no pounce, but the Glimpse going to drag him back inside the creep wave. Giam starting to fall low. The SM shift stacks, well, they are mounting up. 6 stacks taken from him. He will go down. First blood ends up going Disruptor's way from the Thunderbolt. But Dob able to get that first stolen Agi stack and loves to build it up early. Just ended up building up a little bit too many stacks onto Mars. And I said that he's got the counterplay, he's got the return magic damage, but when you get 6, 7, 8 stacks, oh, look at the dodge there, but Giam, he's gonna be sent home. Oh. Stumble over my words a little bit, but Yakola did a very nice job blocking the pounce, but Glimpse back to Fountain is gonna be a frustrating one. Not able to find the kill onto Slark, so 1-0 here, USF's way as we approach the 5-minute mark into this game. And both sides going to be content with just farming up. And I think both sides going to be pretty, happy with just farming up too. I don't think there's a lot of pressure on either lane. Really, any of the heroes. I mean, Mars is going to be happy farming. Luna's going to be happy farming. So is Slark as well.
Dire's courier has been killed.
Oh, the courier snipes over to the side, Ikola. Nice job, and get some items out as well. So I've talked in the past about how those courier bounties are worthwhile. Both Radiant heroes falling extremely low on the bot side. But those courier kills are worthwhile just in terms of a gold, and 35 and 40 each per hero. Luna gonna go down to the bot side, and it's gonna be Oracle as well. Hunter just walks casually underneath the tower, finds a couple of kills. As the regen finally did run out on the Brown side, stuck around the lane a bit too long. Didn't have the rotation support to make anything happen when that dive came out. And even if they had TPs ready, with the heroes so low on Brown, they wouldn't have been able to change anything out on the backside, I don't think. Arcane Rune was bottled up by Puck in the meantime. Magic, see what he decides to do, see if he wants to get active at any point, but I have a feeling that for now he will be hanging around the mid lane and continuing just to find this farm, maybe using the Arcane Rune to secure the 8-minute for himself and continuing his game from there. As 3-0 for USF coming up on 7 minutes. Starting to pull away in terms of the CS in the lanes as well, but just about a 1,000 gold lead going their way, so USF early lead, but nothing extremely insurmountable early on as Yukola takes the Wisdom Rune. The other Wisdom Rune on the Dire side still available, but no real threat for now is Magic with the Arcane Rune. Well, he's looking for the kill, and he's got Dream Coil available, but unfortunately USF Heroes going to be able to retreat back to their tier 1 tower. And Lyric just going to go all the way back and grab up the Wisdom Rune now up top. They don't need a puck rotation. They're just going to find the kills all on their own. Yukola finds the first kill for Brown, puts him on the board. Going to try and set up on Dob as well with the Dark Pack purged off. He actually cancels the pounce as well, but the Spirit's going to be off the mark. And Giam, he's just going to farm up the wave. Yukola really doing his best to hunt down Dob, but should be able to get away here as Giga Chad with the TP and gonna just pop the kinetic field down, stop any further aggression. Oh, we're back to the high ground. Gonna give up the 8-minute power rune. Interesting play from Magic there as Tevin gonna find a shield rune for his trouble. Oh, thinking about it. Should be taking that rune. There it goes. Yukola was making the late rotation through, so was important to bottle that one up quickly.
You shall not.
Luna actually getting a little bit abused in this lane and can happen against Doom. Needs to be careful. Level 6 acquired Doom just coming through. 3,000 net worth for Luna, luckily. Should be able to recover pretty nicely in the jungle, and definitely the hero is going to have the easiest time recovering in this game, and really no other core is going to be able to farm as fast, aside from maybe the TA, but TA might feel pressured to be active a little bit early on, so could lose some of that farm speed. Still, ult's going to come through, so Dob, really no true danger here. Down bottom, the danger came through for Mabu. Klink's rotation. Gonna spell the doom, or I should say the Disruptor rotation. Gonna spell the doom of the Oracle. No doom required for that one as well, so Hunter gonna be the man in front of the tower and gonna look to take down this tier 1 early. And no real contest coming through and no real trade coming through for the side of Brown, so need to be careful not to lose their entire map. I know that's a very early statement, but do need to be careful that Doom can't just plant himself in the top lane and start to get shut down with this tier 1 tower top still surviving and being very, very healthy. Didn't watch it happen, but another rune was bottled up by Tavin.
Radiant are scanning.
It's the second rune he's gotten in a row that Brown have brought heroes over for. Doom rotation comes through. They're going to find it onto Nyx, but very awkward engagement there. They're going to be able to glimpse him back, and certainly will be a kill at the end of the day, but as long as you don't overcommit, as long as you don't lose too much, really doesn't feel like that marquee Doom that you were looking for. Magic still setting up to defend the tower, still does have the Dream Coil, so potential to TP in. Silence going to be dropped over onto Lyric, but not going to find too much here. But the TP in from Giam, they're going to drop the arena. Giga Chad going to be the only one caught in it, but the Static Drop dropped on top of Magic, and Magic, he just goes down. Giga Chad, the spear once again was off the mark, so he's going to get out with his life, and now Tavin just starting to clean up, starting to do his work, starting to do what he can. Giam still managing to live underneath the tower of Hunter. Once again, the man with a plan, just going to run him down and will eventually fall. The rest of the Radiant heroes that showed up to try and salvage this play, well, they're going to go down as well. It's going to be the tier 1 in the mid going down, just Yukola, who manages to escape with his life for Brown. 8-1, a pair of tier 1 towers going down, and all of a sudden went from a 1,000 gold lead to 5,000 gold lead just before 12 minutes into this game. This is what I was talking about, where you have to be careful not to lose your entire map. Luna should be able to TP away here, and we'll make it out. But definitely need to make sure that you don't just lose your entire map, and while it might have been a little premature to say before, it's definitely not premature to say now, as the mid tower falling. Some serious pressure on your own jungle, your Brown. And Magic gonna have to do a lot of work with not a lot of farm. Just 4,200 gold to his name. Compare that to 5,700 on TA, and even, you know, potentially 6,200 on Doom. Hunter with the Midas complete, with the Devour online. Absolutely wealthy man on his Doom. Up top, Irino's dropped down, but very, very aggressive. Magic, well, he's looking to see what he can do. No coil available. Just gonna have to get the hell out of dodge. Haste Rune gonna be popped, looking for Dob on the backside, willing to dive the tower to do it, but Magic, is he overdoing it a little bit? Well, he's gonna warp to the backside, still with the Haste Rune. It's hard to catch him, hard to find him. Nyx able to find the Disruptor on the backside. Yola actually snatches a double kill. Hunter gonna find the Doom at the end of the day. And it is going to end up being a 2 for 2 so far. Maybe going to make that a third as Yukola trying to TP in their face, but Hunter going to say absolutely not. Finds the stun and the cancel. 11 to 3 Hunter. Finding the net worth, and it looked okay. Puck was getting involved. Things were happening. Gold Change ends up saying that things are about even, but USF, they're going to be the ones turning this into tower pressure while Brown are still stuck on the sidelines waiting to respawn. And you can just see that USF are not afraid to commit in these fights. You can even see it in the TA build. We see Dragonlance into the early Blink Dagger. So looking to just continue to put pressure, not worrying about the farm speed on Taven. Got a Doom with Midas. Slark always going to be able to hit the jungle, always going to be able to catch up. So TA not going to go the AFK Ancients play, instead going to look to be active, going to look to capitalize on this map pressure that they've acquired. Hunting onto Magic here, not going to be able to find him. It's not an easy kill, but the glimpse could come through. Giga Chad not going to throw it out there. Now going to find it, the Invis Rune, Magic not going to dodge. But able to walk up to the north. And up top, Giam, well, he's in, but he's in for a couple of hard heroes to take down a very far spear for Taven. Ends up popping up on the other side of the high ground somehow, and Hunter trying with the chase down, trying to do what he can. Giam able to push him back, not going to find the kill there. Yukola looks like he will end up being the casualty, so a long drawn-out chase. USF able to take down one, forces a bunch of heroes up to the top lane, so at the end of the day, Brown can't be too unhappy, but at some point, you're going to need to make something happen with the space that you've acquired from these, can't call them missed rotations, but these small rotations coming out of USF. And I don't see that being too easy for them. I mean, on the back of Puck, not having too much damage, Luna has been farming away, and the Ancients has picked up the Dragonlance, but you need more items to really be relevant on this Luna hero, and seen Mars struggle in this game as well. But Brown, for now, they're going to set up on the top side. Yukola looking for the easy pickup, and they're going to find it onto Disruptor. Now the Eclipse dropped down onto Hunter, but low-level beam means that there's not a lot of magic damage coming through for Luna. She's going to have to just back away, start to farm up the creeps, and Yukola just gets melted by the right-click damage coming through from Taven. Taven gets leashed up, but it's not going to matter. He's just going to keep on clicking through. It might stop you from moving, but it doesn't stop you from hitting. TA more than happy to click away. You can see the right-click damage coming through, even without the Desolator. Just pretty much a mid-TA staple. Very rarely do we see this early blink idea, but you can see at the level 12, with the full points in meld, doesn't need that Desolator to find kills. Absolutely not. Even potentially hunting for more here. Magic was found in the river. Lyric has the full Orchid, by the way, so gonna be able to find him. The TA trap to slow. The Orchid dropped over on top, and is there the damage? Oh, it certainly looks like there is. Call it a freebie. As Luna in the mid lane gonna be caught out as well, and Taven more than enough damage, more than enough shield. There's no threat. Gonna take down both big cores simultaneously. USF absolutely steamrolling this game. (16-4) here as we approach the 17-minute mark into the game. See a little two-man smoke action from Brown, trying to catch out, trying to find onto Dom. Gonna find the connection. Dark Pact to purge off the spear. Still has fallen quite low and doesn't have the mana for the Shadow Dance. Will end up just being punched down. Unfortunate, they didn't quite have the mana there. Lotus was available, actually. I wonder if that might have been on cooldown. Didn't see if he popped the first one straight away. So he was channeling up the Lotus Pool. Not sure that would have given him the mana he needed, but could have been a try. They're going to find the Dream Coil onto Hunter. Stun going to be off the mark from Nyx, but the Eclipse going to be dropped over the top. Taven taking a little bit of damage still. Just aiming to zone off the rest of the USF team as the damage coming through. Taven with the blink forward as the Doom used, and pretty easy to find a kill onto the puck if you're able to land that kind of Doom. And you can just see how much USF can flex in this game, where just running with 2 heroes and it's still way more than enough. No threat to either of their lives. Gonna be yet another kill in the mid. Blink, Midas, and Veil all up for Hunter. Continuing to accelerate his farm towards the Shivas. Shivas did get nerfed in the last patch, by the way, so this one did just come through yesterday. Be interested to know how much USF have actually read into it, because they're going a couple of the builds that would characterize as the old way. Static Storm dropped on a Magic and the Orchid. Lyric has it, not able to get out of that one. Might be able to walk out of the Static Storm, but can't just walk off the Orchid. For now, still no way to cancel that Orchid for the puck either, so Lyric just having a pretty free time on this position 4. Oh, and look at this, even into the early Bloodthorn. This is very greedy. Coming out of Lyric, but managing to make it work for the time being. 20-5, 12k net worth lead as USF looking to close out game number 1 pretty damn quick. This game really does feel like it was over before it even began. Gonna need a lot of things to go right on Brown, a lot of things in order for them to find a way back into this game. And number 1's gonna be on to Gion. They've got the Blink Dagger on Mars, got Arena, he's working towards a BKB, but gonna need to find Blink Spears, gonna need to find Blink Arena Spears, I should say, to set up these early fights. And even at that, you gotta be careful with the hero that you take, because, I mean, who can you kill? You can kill TA, I will say. TA with the Blink, with the Dragon Lance, working towards the Desolator. No true survivability item there. There's no BKB coming out. You find the Blink Spear onto TA, you can melt through the refraction charges as well. And Gion gonna be setting up for it. Finds the Arena this time, gonna connect the Spear. Nicola looking for the angle in, but gonna be silenced off to the side. And the rest of the team not available to commit to this kill. Gion going in practically alone. And Nicola, he was trying to hold off, trying to wait for that Vendetta hit till the refraction charges were burned off, but instead just waited too long. And Nicola, even though he's able to find a kill on the backside, they do lose 4 on Brown. As Luna still not able to come to fight, still working on that Mantha style, and really just running out of rope as USF showing why they are one of the premier teams in this league. What I like about this is they're continuing to play on the Brown side. They're not playing defensively, they're not giving too much respect. Just continuing to slam it into Brown's throats, make them play aggressively, make them look for a pickoff in order to find someone on a farm. And always able to find the counter initiations. Feels like Brown might have, you know, just about one more fight in them. I know they'll have a little bit more than that as USF. They're not going to be ready to take high ground really anytime soon, but down 15,000 in the gold department. Brown going to need to do something, and the window where you can find kills is closing rapidly, let me say. As Slark, Mage Slayer complete Refusal as well. Just feels like the next item these cores go for. Slark could be the BKB, TA. Well, it looks like he's going for damage instead on Taven, but theoretically could be the BKB coming out. And once those yellow items do come out, there's absolutely no way for Brown to find the fight this far behind. Roshan gonna be the mark instead, and USF gonna take this one for free. I say that. Giga Chat. Gonna be zapped to the backside. Mechanism actually completed for the Disruptor, so able to survive the Yakola combo. Second round of spells not going to be enough, and even going to drop the Static Storm on top. Make sure this Nyx pays for his sins. And how did this happen indeed, Brown? We're coming out of the lanes okay, but 7-8 minutes was all the space that they really bought themselves before things started to go south.
Dire's middle tower is under attack. Dire's top tower has fallen. Radiant's bottom
Tier 2 in the bot, gonna be the next target, but in the meantime, Luna being hunted. Bloodthorn was completed from Lyric, showing up. Going to find Logigo. Manta Style was used to farm, so the Bloodthorn gonna be enough work to solo kill the Luna. The two supports becoming the gank squad of their own, not even really needed on Disruptor, but providing some moral support while the rest of the USF squad take down the tier 2 in the bot. They're going to go straight up to the high ground with the Desolator, looking for the play. And well, Gion, he's looking for the angle. He's got the blink, got the arena, got the spear, but doesn't want to jump onto the Aegis. And Slark and Doom both hard kills in their own right, so very hard to find a proper angle into this fight. Nicola, he's hunting, he's looking for Slark on the back with the Dagon. Will be enough. See, support getting some solo kills across the board. Hunter CJR going to be a little bit too tanky to take down next, so the full retreat coming out from USF. They're going to just have to abandon Giam as Nicola able to get up to the side, and Mabu overstaying his welcome, thought about trying to save his buddy, but down 18k, it's just too much. So a promising first kill on the Slark, but Slark's not the carry you got to worry about. That would be Tavin, and Lyric right up there in the farm with a 9-1 and 11 on the Clinks is how he's gotten the gold that he has. Only 58 CS, but keeping up in the farm department with not only Slark, but also Luna, who's been hitting creeps the entire game that she's been allowed to. And Lyric, another Bloodthorn catch. Magic goes down. Still no defensive item for the puck, and not going to see one this game. Brown just hanging in, maybe getting their thoughts together for what went wrong, how they're going to take game number 2 in a different direction, because this one, well, this one was ugly. And honestly, I think it might start with them keeping the Nyx out of their draft. I mean, we've seen it get kills, and we've seen it get solo kills on the backside. 5 and 6, not a bad stat line for this hero, but feels like they've been getting picked off and getting run down separately for the entire game. That's how Nyx wants to play, but so hard to contribute to a team fight when you're behind. And again, he's going to find the solo kill on top. 980 gold, by the way. Gonna be the bounty acquired. Does pay with his life. So it's hard to say that the Nyx isn't the idea when it's kind of the one hero able to get involved, able to find things in this game, but it really just is one of those continue to win while you're ahead heroes. And Brown, well, they're struggling to find any point in the game where they're ahead here, so want to see something that can deal a little bit with this ball coming out of USF potentially in game number 2. So perhaps now is the more accurate time to say that potentially one more fight in USF, where if things go wrong here, the blink on the backside, Gion able to get the BKB off, looking for Disruptor and not quite finding the damage. Looks like the mech was already committed, so GM eventually able to take him down as well as the Aegis on the backside, but Hunter CJR providing the damage, providing the control with the Doom. And Logigo, well, eventually the false promise, it's going to wear off, and oh, the damage coming through, actually. TA starting to fall low. Tavin just barely surviving the edge of that one. 40 HP. And Yagola comes through with the dig and to snipe him on the backside. Was a dieback coming out of puck in the meantime. Lyric gonna suicide up the high ground. Was a dieback coming out. Ends up being a 4,000 gold swing. Suppose a 3,000 gold swing for Brown off the back of that one.
Middle tower is under attack.
So Brown just barely holding on. As the fight looked like USF might be able to clean house, and all of a sudden the damage did come in to TA. So able to squeak a fight win, or at least a fight hold, out for Brown and extend this game a few more minutes. They do take that first step on the winding path back into this game, but if they're able to pull this one off, then they are better magicians than Houdini, because this game simply feels insurmountable. And for more reasons than one. I mean, the team fight just doesn't match up as well. Puck's still struggling, still looking for that defensive item as the Blink picked up. He's building into a Shard next, but there's no way to deal with the Bloodthorn. There's no way to deal with the Silence, as TA will be acquiring that potential as well with the Shard. And so far, no way to deal with the Doom either, who's able to just run in. 2500 HP, Shiva's in his pocket. Actually has a Force Staff for himself, building towards the Aghanim Scepter as well. And just continuing to be the man with the plan. Now they're potentially in some trouble here, Lyric with the Bloodthorn, he's hunting, gonna find the Illu Orb running away, and Lyric eventually gonna be able to run him down, potentially. Magic gets lucky on the side of the chasm that he spawns, or that he jaunts up to. Gonna get himself out of there. Oracle not gonna be so lucky. Is Mabu gonna go down, and on the backside, Gion looks like he was spotted out as well. Ward gonna be dropped. Gion, well, he's looking for the go on to Dom. Dom able to get the early Shadow Dance off. Looks like that's actually the AoE, and Gion with the BKB able to take down Disruptor. But gonna lose the rest of the heroes in the meantime. Ogre Seal Totem not gonna get Gion out of danger. 4 kills for USF to just about close out this game. I don't think there's really any more fight left to be had for Brown, as TA with the Desolator coming into the base. Well, they're going to buy back onto Mars. We'll play it out as the tier 4 start to get battered. 29 minutes in USF. They're saying, yeah, we've had enough of this game. Let's get it going. Let's go to a second. And they're going to take down the kills as well. Nullifier dumped over. Logigo trying his best, but even with the BKB, even with the Moonglaves bouncing around, there's not going to be enough damage. We'll find the Clinks for 1, but eventually the False Promise going to just bring him down into the grave. And Magic, well, 2 shots, not enough. Looks like he needs a 3rd. The buyback comes out from Luna. USF looks like they still might have enough in the tank to stay up on the high ground. But now gonna claim their victory and back off, wait for their heroes to respawn. Even with the buybacks, even with the extra kills, looks like Brown still considered the victors of that fight, but gonna be down numbers and down resources for this potential next engagement. And Logigo, well, he's interested in this one. Still, Tavern gonna be able to chunk away. Nice Static Storm dropped onto the entire team. Gonna find that kill onto Luna. That's the dieback, dead for 100 seconds. Magic goes down to the side as well, and Yakola gonna be the next one to go. GG gonna be called this time, as Brown gonna tap out. We'll see him back for game number 2, and gonna have to use the break to figure out what went wrong early on, as, you know, though this game did extend, you know, the last 15 minutes really not too consequential for the game. The game was lost somewhere in that, you know, 8 to 17 minute mark, so Brown gonna have a bit of a regroup, a bit of a think about how they can structure their early game, early lanes to maybe make a little bit better of an effort. And USF, well, we've been talking about it the entire broadcast, we've been talking about it the entire season. Just showing that they're, you know, a pretty strong team and a pretty capable team looking to take down the champions. They're looking to make their mark on this season. And we talked to Hunter earlier in the season. They're unhappy that they were losing to these what we would consider the top teams in the league, in the division. So the Georgia Techs, the UBCs, you know, they're on USF's radar. They were already being, you know, diligent about studying game film. I think it's the most proactive I've heard a team approaching this NACE season. USF, at least when I was talking to him. So some very interesting stuff coming out of them, and showing that they came to play, showing that they came to win all their regular season matches. And make their mark on the season, make their mark, and make their way into the playoffs as well. So we're going to take the short break. We're going to be back for game number 2 in just a couple of minutes. So stick around, stay tuned, and we'll be back in just a few.
I can't take it anymore. My mind's about to go to war. I need someone to save me from myself, to hear me cry when I call out for help. I blame it on the voices that are in my head, wondering if they'll ever be put to bed. Feels like I am close to reaching my wit's end, holding out, but I'm about to blow it up like a volcano. Another day to lose control. There's a fire in my bones. My sight gets blurry, pushing back the tears. Should take a leap of faith and face my fear. I blame it on the voices that are in my head, wondering if they'll ever be put to bed. Feels like I am close to reaching my wit's end, holding out, but I'm about to blow it up like a volcano. What you do to me? Can't you see what it means when you're 7 free?
Alright, we are back. Still yet to get into the draft as Brown taking a little bit of a break, taking that mental reset and getting prepared, getting back into the lobby. But all is well. I actually really do appreciate when teams approach the break time strategically. Nace does allow up to, I believe it's 15 minutes of break time in between. I'd have to go and double check the rulebook on that, but I believe it's 15 minutes, and no team's really going to come after you for any amount under that regardless. So I really do appreciate teams taking the time to get that mental reset in. You know, make sure you get up, walk away from the computer, you know, stand up and stretch, grab some water, you know, grab, you know, whatever you need to. As Xiao would say, go and wash your face. You know, even just, you know, walk up, walk around, take a step outside, you know, anything to clear your head, get out of a, you know, pretty sad game number one, and especially a game like that, game number one for Brown, where they were just behind for so long that it gives you extra time for that bad emotion, that negative feeling that you take out of Dota games that are lost for so long to just stew inside of you. You need to make sure that you're purging that out and that you're ready to go. It looks like teams are into the lobby here, so I just need to pay a little bit of extra attention to what's going on in terms of the lobby creation, because once again, I'm I'm doing some of the admin work as well, which I'm not the most used to in this league, but hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. But we are going to go ahead and get into the game. So, hello, if you're just joining, you know, we are coming up on game number 2, and it, during the break, showed that standings graphic, so you can see that USF and Brown both were yet to lose a game going into today's series, and USF gonna be the ones that retain that up to 5-0 on the game score this season, while Brown gonna lose that first game. Now this is just week 3, it's the third series for each of these teams coming in, and both Brown and USF, I believe, the only teams to actually play both of their series and win, so there can be only one at the end of this week, though we're gonna have more teams joining them in the 2 games played department shortly this week, just due to the way the reschedules have panned out. You might be able to hear in the background, we do have the draft kicked over, so I will go ahead and throw it over to our draft screen. Not too different from our normal screen, but, you know, what can you do? Once again, we're going to have Brown on the Radiant, we're going to have USF on the Dire. So, continuing this trend that I've found quite strange, actually, for Nace, is that a majority of teams are ending up on the same side, regardless of the pick order. So whether you're picking first or second, teams are ending up on the same side, which is pretty funny to me. So I don't know. I mean, this time Brown did end up picking Radiant over the pick choice. So one of the few times I've actually, you know, been in the lobby, been in control of things, and paid attention enough to determine who chose what. And I think it's one of the major shortcomings of Tournament Dota, even nowadays on the professional scene, is that we don't get a ton of insight into who chose what, whether you're choosing first pick, choosing second pick, choosing Radiant, choosing Dire, who had priority. I think that information could be built into something like this overlay down here, and it's something that, you know, even professional orgs are just not doing nowadays. Which is interesting, because it's such a treasure trove of information and insight into why teams play the way they do, how teams are approaching the game, and picking Radiant first is super interesting to me. You know, out of Brown, I just have to wonder if they have, you know, a way that they want to play, if they want to approach the game a certain way, if they are just more comfortable on Radiant, because sometimes teams don't find the most difference between first and second pick. They can say, well, we get last pick regardless because, you know, USF wants first pick, so we might as well take Radiant instead of, you know, choosing second pick and then getting Dire. Like, it could be one of those circumstances. So a lot of it boils down to matchups and team preference. And, you know, early on in the season, it's hard for me to have that insight into what the teams are thinking as they're approaching, you know, the pre-draft stage of the game. It really is. The coin flip selections are just about the only piece of information that you do get to decide before you go into the game. So we do see the first heroes coming through here, and the Clinks again going to be picked up for USF in that first slot. So really liking how that turned out game number 1. Lyric, I'm sure, feeling like a god with that early Bloodthorn and having the impact that he did. Remember 9, 1, and 11 at one point in the game. So Ended up significantly higher than that, I believe, but that's the stat line that I remember being impressed by when I saw him up on the high ground. Anyway, very impressive game number 1 for USF, and they're not the only undefeated team left. Can't say that. There are actually a handful of undefeated teams. Both Georgia Tech and University of Toronto in the East are undefeated, just because the series haven't panned out exactly the natural way this season. Both of those teams just having played one match here, as we are past week number 3. Georgia Tech and University of Toronto both playing in the upcoming couple of days for their week 3 matchup. Georgia Tech having the first round bye, and USF, well, they've rescheduled a match for later tonight, actually. Not going to be covering that one, but do make sure you check that one out if you're interested. Not sure if they're going to have a stream of their own. I'll make sure to toss out a link if I see one, but I'm not sure if there is going to be one coming through. But that's actually a 9:45 start, so we're going to be just following the conclusion of this game number 2, most likely, or just preceding it, perhaps. So do make sure you check that one out if the series goes 2-0. If it goes 1-1, make sure you stick around here before checking out that series. Appreciate it. No, I mean, I think Brown need to shake things up here, and we see that coming out of their draft with the Juggernaut, with the Spirit Breaker. And USF, well, they're going to say, hey, we did it well game 1. We liked what we did. We're going to go for it again. Notably, Doom banned out by Brown in the first phase, so going to be taken out of the pool, but it's not going to stop USF from picking up the support duo that they found success with in game number 1. However, Brown do have better heroes, at least early on, to deal with these supports in the Juggernaut and in the Spirit Breaker. Spirit Breaker gonna be hunting both the Clinks and the Disruptor, especially if you do throw him into a potential core role. I think with the first pick Juggernaut, it's a lot less likely to see Spirit Breaker in the core role. But there is potential for the offlane Spirit Breaker and pick up supports behind, and really depends on what USF pick up in their 4th slot. It is either their carry or their mid. If it is something on the squishier side, could see that position 3 Spirit Breaker start to cause some chaos in this game. Gotta make sure to stay hydrated between matches. Shadow Demon Tide gonna ruin that plan, gonna ruin the idea of potential off-lane Spirit Breaker, but actually, I'm not the biggest fan. I was thinking you could have some interesting combos coming through, but I don't like Spirit Breaker's lane with either of these heroes. I have to wonder if Brown are thinking about flexing the Spirit Breaker into the mid, potentially, because I'm really worried about a position 4 Spirit Breaker laning with a Tide, or laning with a Juggernaut. And in either lane, you're going to have a ranged support for USF. I mean, this is setting up to be a really, really hard lane wherever the Spirit Breaker goes, if it is on support. So I'm a bit worried. I am starting to be a bit worried. Slardar matching up naturally very well into Jug as well. Now Shadow Demon throws a bit of a wrench into Slardar's idea, but Jug has a hard time finding spins onto Slardar just because you turn around and you bash him a couple of times with Slardar. You hit him in the face, and Jug is very, very unhappy. Yeah, the more I look at this, the more worried I am for Brown's early draft here. I think this is setting up to be another struggle. And USF really just running back game number 1. The Slark didn't look the strongest, so maybe Dob wants a little bit of redemption coming out of this carry role. And it's another lane where Slark's gonna have a pretty good time, even better than against the Mars, as Tidehunter really is food for the Slark to get those Essence Shift stacks up. And yeah, I mean, Spirit Breaker, if he goes to the lane as well, Slark's just going to have 2 melee strength heroes. Not going to want to trade into him, not going to want to give him the Essence Shift stacks, but not really going to be able to avoid it either.
5 seconds remaining.
I am worried. I feel like USF are drafting an identical lineup, and it is matching up very, very nicely for them into Brown. So we take a look at these last set of bans. Brown banning out the Templar Assassin. They don't want to see that one against them again, and for good reason, as the minus armor buildup would be very, very strong this game with a Slardar already drafted. One hero that I would be interested to see if they pick up, and it doesn't exactly fit the mold this game, though it's not antithetical to their draft either, is the Leshrac. We did see this hero get some substantial buffs, and you're able to sit in the Omni Slash, you're able to deal with Jug pretty well. It's kind of the same with Tide. I mean, Lesh is a hero that enjoys the more sustained fights, the more drawn-out fights. So could see that hero make a resurgence, but I'm more interested in seeing it just because it did get a nice buff, as well as Bloodstone getting the buff. So when you see those two, the Bloodstone and the Leshrac buffed in the same patch, it's always a little bit scary from a balance perspective. I think they're going to go for something a little bit more comfortable, though. In terms of what that could be, not exactly sure at the moment. I'd like to see some kind of save mid, perhaps. Something that, if you get Omni Slash, it's not the end of the world. Not the most trivial pick, actually. Like, I feel like there's a lot of heroes that are fine, but there's no mid that's really jumping out to me as, like, the one, and they are going to go for the Leshrac. So yeah, I kind of talked myself into enjoying this hero more, because I was thinking about some of your more traditional mids, and none of them really jumped out as super pickable, just because the Spirit Breaker, you know, potentially causing problems later on in the game to any, you know, squishier mid. And these fights are destined to be long and drawn out, despite the fact that you have Slark, you have Slardar, heroes that want to jump on the backlines. Well, you're not able to take down heroes the fastest, and especially with, you know, Disruptor, you are playing this chase down draft, so a little bit of both ways going USF's way, where Clinkz and Slardar are looking to take you down fast, but Slark, Disruptor, now the Leshrac looking to kind of whittle you down as time goes. So just kind of an interesting dichotomy through their draft. And Brown gonna need a hell of a hero to wrap it up in a neat bow. And I'm not too sure what that is either. The OD would have been the one that screamed yes to me, but banned out by USF. So a very nice call from them. And it's so hard to find something. You want a hero that can play on the backlines. Clinkz and Disruptor, if they're found, you need a hero that takes these heroes out, but also something that doesn't just die to a jump from Slardar or Slark, and it's hard to find something like that. My mind's going to something like a Queen of Pain, perhaps. Mashup okay, into the Leshrac. You know, you're able to use the dagger spam to secure your lane. They're going to go for Alina, so a little bit of a safer pick, something that's destined to, you know, win the mid, or at least draw even in the mid. Does have problems, though, against Slardar later on in the game with the Blink Dagger. Be able to find her, and it's going to be just Shadow Demon to provide some sort of save, so yeah, a little bit scary. I mean, it's not a bad pick in the mid for Brown. See how he does decide to build the Lina on Magic, if he does go the Magic build, if he goes more of a physical click build. I'd assume it's going to be the Aghanim Scepter and Burst build, but we'll have to see what he does decide to do, as they have the Tidehunter. So potential for the right click build with the Gush if you want to go the old build on Tide, where you go the Aghanim Scepter and use the AoE Gush to try and provide lots of physical damage for your team. But I don't know, I think Brown were really needing a solid draft, needing a really good draft win, considering how game number 1 went. And I like USF's draft quite a bit better here in this game number 2, and they showed that they could win with an even or maybe slightly worse, I think I rated it, draft in game number 1. So definitely going to be an uphill battle for Brown to try and take this game number 2, and it's a must-win game number 2 Both these teams 2-0 so far in the season. 2-0 in the series score, that is. And series score, really, every match in this regular season, by the way, is a best of 3. So the game score, while it might matter a little bit, it does not matter in terms of your overall wins.
Prepare for battle.
So the series score, really what's going to matter, and I hate to say it too much because it seems like every week there's a matchup that I'm saying it about, but this Brown versus USF matchup could be one with significant playoff implications, as these two teams for now undefeated, but Georgia Tech very strong, Toronto very strong, USF, well, they've proven to be very strong, and Brown, you know, if they get crushed in this game number 2, starts to feel like they're, you know, potentially fighting for 4th place. I mean, it's early to be saying that, but could look rough. Brown gonna find a nice first blood for themselves, though, and definitely how you want to start off the game. As they smoke up into the triangle area.
30 seconds to battle.
Lyric says, good job, and he'll be a little bit sad that he goes down early. Still a little bit of posturing, but nothing more going to come through.
The battle begins.
So Rune's going to end up 2 for 2. As, am I insane? Did Kong play last game? I don't think so, right? Was Kong the 5? Am I insane? No, I'm definitely not. It was the name that I hadn't seen before on Oracle. Oh my goodness, I apologize, I'm totally forgetting the name. So it looks like Brown had a little bit of roster reshuffle behind the scenes. In between games number 1 and 2. Apologies, I'm totally spacing on the name of the player that played Oracle in game number 1 for Brown. I don't know why I can't think of it, but I remember just being like, oh, did I forget this guy's name? Because I feel like I've not seen this. Well, maybe I haven't seen him before. Maybe he's someone I haven't seen playing for the roster so far this season or last. Yukola down bottom, getting run down. Hunter just gonna find the kill. Bash is coming through onto Logigo as well. So 1-1 now. And the healing ward gonna be sniped. Lyric. Well, it got first blooded, but yeah, I thought that was coming. The tip gonna come through as he'll be happy to find 75 gold on the backside. Dob up top, starting to build up the Essence Shift stacks. Got 6 of them, but falling low, and Kong just needs one more bash. Not even gonna matter. Gets the XP for the charge. Found that level 2. Finds the kill. Tide did end up getting clicked down by GigaChad on the backside. So ends up being a 2 for 2. Still, you can never be too unhappy when Spirit Breaker gets some extra levels in lane, because this hero is just one of the heroes that causes pretty, you know, crazy amounts of chaos, is what I'll call it. Even in the support role, even when you don't have the most farm, you're always able to charge through, find bashes, and just be annoying. So the level's really what Spirit Breaker thrives on in the support role.
I'll take that.
Feels like we're gonna have to keep our attention on the side lanes this game. As lots of pressure, lots of potential for kills to come through in the early going here. Still, for now, all will be quiet as Logigo just gonna farm underneath the tower. Up top, looks like we'll have something similar where Brown able to get the wave into a good position for themselves, and they'll just go farm it away. So taking a look into the mid, it's been a little while since we've seen a Leshrac get picked up, and I haven't checked in on any stats on this hero. I was theory crafting it last night when the patch was just coming through. Wasn't sure if any of the Nace games were going to get played on the new patch, then they ended up not really happening, but wasn't sure what was going to come of it, so I was kind of doing my own theory crafting, and Nyx is the first hero that I thought of. Excuse me, Leshrac, the first hero that I was thinking of. Look at the damage coming through. Magic falling so low. Fairy Fire to work with. Bottle charges as well. Oh! It's hit the Dragon Slave. The Max Dragon Slave from Lina, the level 5, I should say. Tevin had the Fairy Fire to work with. Didn't pop it. Goes down. A big solo kill for Magic in the lane here. Down bottom. Lyric getting run down as well. A couple of stacks in the Shadow Poison. Still looking for the damage. It is level 2 Shadow Poison, 4 stacks, make it 5. Gonna take him down, but Logigo gonna pay with his life as well. So another 1-for-1 trade. 4-3, the only lane not really traded out so far is the mid lane, where Magic 1-0. This has the Laguna Blade, Tavern just level 5, so have to be careful here. Lyric off the back of his death did TP up top, so take a look here. Giga Chad looking for the angle, but not going to find the glimpse. So I'd imagine it's going to be the standard build-up from Lesh, just into an early Bloodstone, but Magic with the level 6 rotation. This is 5 minutes, by the way. This is very, very early for a mid laner to be making the rotation. They think it might be warded up here. Ward just placed down. I'm not sure if it actually clipped him or not, but finally gonna make the TP back. Magic. If the glimpse came through, if that TP was cancelled, would have kind of ruined Lina's game, by the way. But able to get the TP back to mid, sets up for the 6-minute power rune. Game number 1 did see a little bit of misplaced focus, where Brown not paying enough attention to the power runes, unfortunately. He lost the 50-50 this rune, so the Invis rune going to be bottled up by Tavern. Up top, Giga Chad falling low, the Anchor Smash and the Bash doing an incredible amount of damage. Giga Chad still able to walk away from this one, and Geom not going to be able to chase down for the kill. And on the backside, we see Tavern on the rotation, pretty low on the mana front. But with the level 6, Pulse Nova's ready. See if he can't find a kill here. He's going to try for it. The stun's going to come through. Kraken Shell not able to purge off the stun in time, but Geom, well, he's just going to turn and run forward, try and get whatever he can, whatever damage he can. He's going to find the return go. Giga Chad does end up going down still. Tavern gets involved in a kill early. And, well, down bottom. They really clean off the Slardar as well. As each mid laner respectively making a rotation. 7-minute wisdom runes end up going 1-for-1 after all said and done as well. So 6-4 here, 7 minutes in, and another game where just barely a 1k net worth lead here at this stage in the game. This time gonna be Brown with the slight edge, but as in game number 1 at this stage, absolutely anyone's game. I think lane's going kind of surprisingly well for Brown, at least in my mind. Dob just level 4, and we see Geom playing super aggressive here. Giga Chad falling extremely low. Kong gonna have a charge straight through the kinetic field with the bash. Gonna take down Giga Chad, find a courier for his trouble as well, and Kong hit the bulldoze. It's a very short pounce. Missing kills in the bot side, so it looks like as things calm down, we can take a look down here. Shadow Demon was bashed down, but Logigo able to get away. Still, I think lane's, surprisingly well, especially this top lane where Geom, look at the pressure he's able to apply onto a Slark. Slark should be pretty happy to click into him, but Dob is level 5. Kong found the level 6. Nice TP rotation from Tavin, gonna stop that in its tracks and maybe even find a kill onto the Spirit Breaker.
Dire's middle
As it
tower
finally
is
will
under
come
attack.
through. And Nicola not here in time. Take down the Slark. Still, it's a party in the top lane. Magic looking for the angle as well underneath that ward, and this time will be dewarded. Still, after all said and done, you lose a kill, but gain a little bit in the gold department as so many heroes from USF forced up to the top lane, not farming during that time, and just end up taking down the Spirit Breaker, who's spawned, TPs into the mid, and gonna get right back to it. Looking to be aggressive, so Magic can find some kills. The Laguna Blade not going to take down the Disruptor, and going to be off the mark with the Dragon Slave. Looking for that right click, does actually end up taking him down. A little bit of burn damage coming through. Does end up going down for his troubles. Certainly not a worthwhile kill, and Tavin, well, thinking about looking for more. Yakola underneath the tier 1 tower, going to get far enough away. And all will quiet down, at least for the moment.
His bottom tower is under attack.
Still, oh, down bottom actually. Jug in some trouble, no mana for the Omni Slash. Running away underneath the tier 1 tower actually does just get the mana, so would have been able to buy himself some time, and because of that, they'll back off. Meanwhile, in the mid, seems like we chose the wrong lane to take a look at, as this time the kill does come through, and it's going to be the big one onto Tavin.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Lyric hunting behind the tower.
Radiant's bottom tower
Just being
is
a
under
pesky little thorn in the Juggernaut's side. Still, Logigo having a better time than Dob this game, so despite how hard it does look for the Jug at the moment, still a cool 600 gold up on his USF counterpart. And Gian just having his way up here. The Melon, not traditionally a good lane into the Slark, and this is exactly why, this interaction here, but when the charge comes through, Kong is proven to be a nuisance. Gian's given up 12 Essence Shift stacks though, so it has to be a little bit careful. But with just 1 point in the Essence Shift, not really committing to clicking down the Tide, probably because the early lane was not going in his favor, so didn't want to commit to a lane forward build. But it does mean those Essence Shift stacks expire pretty quick, meaning that Giam is going to be
Dire's top tower
able to be the bully in lane once again. In the mid, DD room going to be popped up. Oh, Tavin falling low, falling dead. As even with the late pop of the amp damage rune, Magic going to be able to find it up on the high ground. The LSA, well, it's not going to connect. Hunter, though, still in some trouble. The charge coming through from top lane. Nicola will go down, but it's only a matter of time before the Spirit Breaker is in. This time, the LSA going to be on the mark, and with the Dragon Slave coming through, the charge actually switches targets. Going to make for an easy cleanup onto Lyric as well. That's 3 kills over that messy mid-engagement where Slardar just kind of hanging around by the Radiant Tier 1 mid. This time, Magic 4-1-4 here, 12 minutes into the game. Still on the end of that amp damage rune, able to get some extra harass out onto Tavin as well, and they'll secure a regen rune up top. Gonna make for a nice reset for the Lina. So 12 minutes in, 12-8 gonna be your kill score. Brown ahead of this game up to a 3k net worth lead. Trying to make up for that USF Game 1 win. Very quick kill onto the Slark. The second bash coming through from Kong, and they'll look to just continue to march on under the tower. Was taken down in the meantime. And Lyric, Invis going to be up in 3 seconds. Will he be able to get it off? And will it matter? It looks like the Anchor Smash going to take him down. No sentries needed, and it's a good thing because there was not one available for the Brown side. Looks like Omni Slash was dropped down here, and Hunter looking for the kill with the charge. It's going to come through. Kong has the ult to work with. He's going to pop it straight away, but still has to be careful on Logigo because Hunter is going to have the damage. Going to be able to pop the Corrosive Haze over as well. See if they can't take down Slardar. If Slardar's going to be able to start the bashes, the healing ward does come through, and that's going to let Logigo, well, he's going to at least trade out. Hunter actually takes him down first, and Kong was the one finding the right click, but the overcommit comes through from USF. Lose Tavin once again. That's 2-4 on the Leshrac. as he is struggling through this game, a couple levels behind, still working on a Eul Scepter.
Dire structures are fortified.
It's a bit of a struggle. 5k up in the net worth, and Brown, well, it's looking like an absolute inverse of game number 1, actually. Where now with USF, we need to be careful not to give up too much pace in this game, and this is a very good start to that, as Magic, with his killing spree, going to be caught up on the high ground, wanted to take down the mid tower, or at least apply some pressure. They even brought Tide around to start to threaten, but with the Static Storm on the high ground, it's simply too much. Haven't talked about this Tide's build-up because we've been too focused on the skirmishes and engagements around mid, but the Vlad's has been a pretty traditional, or I guess the opposite of traditional, right? A pretty contemporary pickup where people have been grabbing this Vlad's. Looking forward onto Tavin, and they've got the Shadow Poison stack. Ravage coming up in 4 seconds, and Yukola looking for that last poison, not going to find it. Not too sure it would have mattered. Yes, it's max poison, but with the big wand coming through, Tavin, not too much danger, but back to my point, the Vlad's a pretty contemporary choice for Tide, and this Vlad's item did get nerfed a little bit, where the self buffs ended up being around similar, but you do lose a little bit of the aura, 7.35 Seek.
A tide to the impurities.
But the way we've seen Tides play recently is to go into an item like the Mage Slayer, and to just walk at enemy heroes and be this big Tide that, you know, you can never go engage on, you can never kill before you get Ravage off, and you generally have been skipping the Blink Dagger and instead just walk into the fights. Hunter in a lot of trouble here, farming out a little bit ambitiously, trying with the sprint, trying to get away. There is Ravage here if GM does decide to commit it, and maybe thinking about it now, finally going to toss it out. It's not going to hit onto Hunter. We'll find Lyric, who is hovering around some vision, but able to get away up to the gate. That's Ravage blown, and they're not going to find the kill. Able to take the gate and get up to the top side. A little bit of hesitation there from Geom. That's just going to cement him into going towards this Blink Dagger, as this is the most traditional way to play the Tide. It definitely has fallen out of favor recently because it feels like you can fall off a little bit, as we see him get punched by the Ogres a couple of times. But you can fall off on Tide, and you can just be a kind of a floating Ravage. You do commit for this Blink build. We'll have to watch and see if he stays relevant in this game. Still definitely was able to do his job. With the charge going to come through. This time going to be found out. Lyric underneath the Sentry Ward. Nice job putting the Ob Sentry combos. The Static Storm going to try and hold things up. Lyric surviving through it for now, but Logigo, he's in with the Omni Splash. Going to be able to dump it across. Finds the kill, dodges out the Glimpse in the meantime, but has to be a little bit careful. Still spin is available. They're going to end up trading out Kong with the charge, making a little bit of space for the rest of the Brown team to retreat, but still Dob is thinking about going for more as Hunter found his way behind the tower. Dob with the Diffusal Blade freshly picked up, gonna find Geom on the back, who will eventually go down as well. So a double kill coming out for the Leshrac, who, well, he was struggling into this game, and it's a very nice way for him to start to come back into it. Eul Scepter is picked up for him, and USF, they're thinking they're not done, looking for Magic, and Lyric scouting him out. Magic actually turns around and heads back up to the high ground, but that's just going to put him in the middle of all 4 heroes for the USF side. Going to be a freebie. And again, not quite done with the skirmish. The charge coming through Yukola with the banishment on top, and Tavin has the Euls, but going to need to pop it. Not actually going to get it off. Kong was coming through with the charge regardless, so things were not going to turn into his favor, and that's going to be the Midas completed on your 4 Spirit Breaker. So talked a little bit before about Tide having a problem, you know, potentially with this Blink Dagger of not staying relevant. Well, that's one way that Tide is going to be, you know, appreciated, I guess, is not taking farm off the map for the Spirit Breaker and potentially giving a lot more priority to your 4 Spirit Breaker. Take a look down the bot side. There you go. was the target, but a little bit too close to his tier 2 tower, so the gank squad this time not going to be on the mark. Did see Lyric, don't think I touched on this, but did see him building it up, the phylactery. Now completed in his inventory. Not the biggest fan of the phylactery build-up on the Clinks, if I'm honest. Even though Orchid doesn't feel as good this game, does feel like that item is a much more natural build-up on the Clinks. And you'd be able to find the Shadow Demon. Sure, you're not really finding cores with it as Juggle have an early Manta style this game, but the Shadow Demon really will be a nuisance, and that's a pretty optimal target for the Clinks on the backside, so. Just gets a little bit caught by the greed, perhaps, of the phylactery, but once more on the hunt for Logigo, hunting out the Jug. Glimpse, not going to catch him, of course. There's spin available, and Kong going to charge forward. Gets out a Static Storm, but going to be caught inside of it as well as the Kinetic Field, and the Bulldoze not able to get you away from those spells. They were trying to set up a fight. TP'd on the backside. They have Blink Ravage available. Fresh Blink Dagger on Geom, and Magic hanging around as well, but scouted out over to the side. Lyric gonna be able to find it, but who's found who? Because the Blink Ravage comes forward. They're gonna find the first kill onto Disruptor. Looking for the next one onto Hunter, and Hunter, he's forced to turn away and run, but that's just gonna run into death. Lyric tanks the Omni Slash on the backside. 3 kills so far for Brown. Now looking for the 4th in Tavin. Again, Eul's Scepter available, but it's not gonna help when there's 2 heroes staying up on you. Instead, just gonna buy him a little bit of extra time before he makes his way to the grave. Very nice fight coming out of Brown there. Oops, sorry about that one. So we're able to see the Blink Ravage come through, and look for a second like Magic might be in trouble if Hunter's able to find the turn, find the run forward onto Lina. Instead, turns and tries to get himself away, but just eats those clicks in the back, and from there you see the rest of the fight just get cleaned up. No real way to survive, and a little bit late to the fight on Lesh anyway, so not able to pump out that damage in his own right. 22-15 here for Brown, and done a good job forgetting about how game number 1 went, because game number 1 did not look anything like this. Brown feeling absolutely comfortable in this one. Here's the build-up for Tavin, actually going for Eul's into Kaya Sange. We did talk on this broadcast about the Sange buffs in the most recent patch, and players still working to figure out what works and what doesn't. We'll exploit the Bloodthorn later on, but interesting that the Bloodthorn, the Bloodstone later on, but for now I like the idea of the Kaya Sange. I think, if I remember correctly, the Kaya Sange actually was the least buffed Sange component item. But still gonna feel very nice on a hero like Leshrac. And it would end up amping your spell lifesteal as well later on in the game, so yeah, still gonna be a nice item, I think. And we'll have to see how it pans out. I know it's been a bit of a struggle for Tavin this game. 4 and 6 says did get abused a little bit in the mid, and the Spirit Breaker gank's definitely not been helping. Looks like things are starting to settle down across the map, and both teams going to be looking to just find some farm, find that next item before really committing to anything too major. Geom actually blinks forward as I say that. Fong underneath the tower. Just tanking a couple of clicks. The Glimpse, he's actually able to get out of the Kinetic Field, but no charge for a couple of seconds means he's in a lot of trouble, and World of Hurt gonna take him down. Here, Eul's in the middle, Magic looking for Tavin, not gonna find him. Amp damage popped from Tavin, so make sure you had the bottle charges available to work with. Oh, and the Static Storm actually gonna be dropped onto Magic, glimpse back into it, and will be caught out in the mid lane, so tried for the aggressive kill in the mid, instead gets caught out, and the rest of the team behind him not having any more success. 3 kills for USF here. Gonna basically negate the net worth lead. They do aim to take down this mid-tier 1 tower as well. Glyph even going to be committed for Brown, but no way they're going to be able to defend this tower, so it's going to be the last of the tier 1 towers falling for the side of Brown, and USF, they're not done, headed up into the triangle. Early Harpoon done on Hunter, and Dob, well, let's see, he's got the Aghanims completed, going to be going for the Aghanim shard of his own as well. Lugigo needs to be careful, has the Manta Style, has the spin. Omni Slash is ready as well, so don't want to overcommit here, and gonna back off on the USF side. Kong just gonna charge forward and become that wall. Now gonna pop the ult forward and go in, but Dom able to get into the Shadow Dance. Still the Omni Slash, bounce around back, bouncing out of the ult. Nice blink grab, it's gonna catch on to 4. Now the spin coming through, actually the disruption. Gonna be on the drug, but still spinning, still providing the damage inside of that disruption. And the charge through, it's gonna clean him up. It's gonna be 4 heroes. Giga Chad over to the side. Maybe it's not gonna be 4 heroes. Well, Klink's gonna go down, so Lyric's gonna be the 4th hero. I was thinking it was gonna be Giga Chad the 4th kill, but instead the only surviving member gonna be that Disruptor. Oof, yikes. I think this is just so funny. You can see the you can see the jug spin in this replay clip. You can just see the spin still doing the damage. I think it's hysterical. Like, you can see he gets disrupted and the spin just still... I've never seen that interaction, actually. It totally makes sense that you get that damage. Like, absolutely makes sense that you get that spin damage, right? But the animation goes away. I think that's pretty funny. So we come back to the live game. Kong goes down in the mid side, but the top tier 2 does get claimed by Brown. And a very nice fight coming out for them around their Ancients, and it all gets set up by the Spirit Breaker charging through, making the wall, eventually turns back with the Nether Strike and kicks things off for round number 2. Whoa, solo kill. Gonna be grabbed by Magic. Needs to make sure he gets out of here with his life, because the glimpse, well, it's coming. It's gonna be pulled all the way back. Magic is actually a little bit too deep for USF, even having to turn around and break their formation to get in, and now Lugigo, well, he's in. Yakola found the save for the time being. Magic trying to run, thinking about staying now. Needs to turn, maybe throw in some right clicks. Tavany's falling low, he's gonna be able to find the kill. Lugigo now starting to fall low, now starting to get taken down. Hunter with the double kill, and ends up being a 4-for-2 trade. Super awkward engagement there. And Magic just, not right-clicking in that fight at all. Ends up costing him. A couple times just... I don't know, he didn't think he had the damage, or what exactly he thought. Lina, this hero that, even with the Magic build, does do a pretty significant amount of right-click damage when you have the... Fiery Soul stacks up, so... I don't know, a little bit of hesitation potentially cost him his life there. Roche was taken in the meantime. Didn't click up there, but a relatively easy Roche for them to take. The Corrosive Haze amping the damage up onto the Roshan. Aghanim Scepter picked up for Hunter after that fight. Nikola potentially in some trouble as the 4-step to get himself underneath the tier 2 tower, but the TPs, well, they're not coming. Nikola gonna be able to disrupt himself, but as we've said over and over this game, just gonna buy him some space. Well, is it gonna buy him some life? Hang on a second, the Omni Slash is coming through, there's no Shadow Dance to work with. That's the Aegis gonna go down. Wait a second, is Slark in a little bit deep? There is a Ravage, but looks like Brown, they're gonna decide to get out of this one still. Dom. Scary, scary stuff, and Shadow Demon somehow lives. I honestly have no idea. I have no idea how he got out of there with his life, Shadow Demon. Surviving on like 5 HP with the disruption. Just one little hit, one little piece of AoE damage would have taken him down, but nothing comes through. Craziness. Absolute craziness.
Swiftly out of balance.
So 22-28 here, 28 minutes into the game. 4K net worth lead in Brown's favor, but definitely feels like this one could swing either way, and probably will swing a couple of times before all is said and done here. Game 2 shaping up to be a very nice game between these two teams. These two undefeated teams in the East Coast Division. Duking it out for the #1 overall spot at the moment, so eyes are going to be on this game. It's in the mid, starting to posture. Top gonna run into Gion. Just a little bit awkward for the Tide, but both heroes just gonna try and get away from each other. Hunter thinking about going forward, but Tide not the easiest kill. Gonna be dragged back up to the high ground, but this is a tanky Tide Hunter. Not easy to take down, and in the end, the formation will hold. 5-man smoke immediately from Brown. Try and catch off some of these USF heroes if they split up to go fight. They're going to find the jump. They're going to look for Hunter. This is also not an easy kill to take down on the Slardar. They don't want to blow the Ravage, but the LSA just connects on the edge of the range. So they'll find the kill. 50 seconds on the deck, no Slardar. The lines get drawn. They want to take the triangle. Maybe thinking about this tier 2 tower in the mid. We're able to hold on to Ravage throughout that one as well. Saw the fresh Scotty picked up for the Juggernaut, and Lina still not working with the Shard. Generally see this one picked up early for the Lina. Just adds quite a bit of damage onto your combo with the Aghanim Scepter. Oh, look at this. Kong changed his mind off of the Octarine Core, decided no, he needs the BKB, and I really like this idea. He wants to get through the Static Storm, he wants to get through onto the backlines, onto Disruptor, not get glimpsed out of the fights, because that's one of the main pressure points that you can feel as the Spirit Breaker here, is you can always get glimpsed away, and if you get glimpsed after your charge, well, you're just so far from the fight. Ooh, little piece of candy, and love that Lugigo gave that one over to Gion, working towards that level 3 Ravage. Level 20 Jug doesn't need the XP, so we'll even snatch the Tormentor for their troubles, up to an 8,000 gold lead here. And 31 minutes in, they're going to be taking the last tier 2 tower with relatively little contest. Looks like no contest coming through, and with this tower falling, want to play a little bit of a guess that win probability, because even at 9k, this game feels so knife's edge to me. This game feels like absolutely anyone could win. It feels like the next fight is going to come down to who's able to position better, who's going to find the first engagement. So I'm going to put it at, what, 59% Brown? I don't think I can give it much more than that. I think I'm going to go 59% Brown, even though it's a 9k net worth lead. I want to see the predictions in chat, but I think 59% is what I'm going to go for. I'm going to lock it in. Oh, look at that! I am a god. Man, don't even need to play against anyone else. Don't even need to play against anyone else, because I won the game. That's a pretty funny one. I mean, it's absolutely accurate. Right now, the net worth lead just doesn't mean that much. Lugigo is absolutely farming in a psychopath position, by the way. His team is not in the area. Sure, he has Mantha, sure, he has Spin. Can very easily get jumped on here, and the Disruption, a little bit awkward on top of the Spin, but Hunter not wanting to commit forward. There's no Lina here. Gion is in on Invis Rune. They're posturing like they're thinking about taking this fight. Lina is not here. But all will settle down. Have to check in on Lyric and hold that thought. We're going to see a 4-man smoke in the triangle. Again, Lina not here, and Lina's such a majority of the damage coming out for Brown. I know you have Omni Slash to work with on top of the Blink Ravage, but well, the Anchored's not going to connect. Early BKB from Kong as well. They're going to try and take down this pesky Flinks before the fight kicks off, but instead Kong falling so low, and he's just going to die. Tide, he's stuck inside the silence, not going to be able to get the Ravage off. Not even sure if he wants to get the Ravage off if he could, and he will go down without it. Lesh to go down on the backside. Lugigo able to take him down with Magic while he's in. Now we're able to pump the BKB, trying to turn around with fast up. LSA, it's going to connect on the 2, get him away. Now he's going to turn, thinking about right clicks, but not going to need him. As 3 kills go their way, make it a 4th as Giga Chad will eventually go down, trying to play his way out, but definitely not going to find the TP there. And a messy engagement, but Brown ends up on top. As it's Logigo able to find Leshrac on the back that really seals the deal with the Omni Slash, and Magic just came in as the cleanup crew, the BKB, keeping him out of harm's way for the most part. And that last 2-man LSA, well, might not have looked so big, but removed any chance of him going down at the end of that fight, Magic, so ended up being quite impactful. And now the tier 3 under siege. Just gonna go down. There's no buybacks available for USF, so they're gonna be up in 15, but melee racks getting bashed down, and looks like it's just gonna be taken. Dahl in the back, looking for kills. There's no PKB on Lina, but the Furia Blade gonna keep her healthy for the time being. Now with the LSA, it's actually gonna be off the mark. Drops the Laguna, but Dahl able to survive it, able to be healthy. Magic trying to run away to the side with the flying movement speed, but not able to get out. He goes down. 80 seconds on the deck, and they're gonna lose a second. Logigo hanging around, needs to be careful. Able to get out of this one. Things once again will stabilize, so 2 kills go down, and USF gonna collect a couple. But the mid racks do end up falling, so Brown, I mean, they're not gonna be too happy with that one, but it's hard to feel too upset as well. As the line gonna be drawn straight down mid comes USF. We'll see how much of a pub this turns into if they decide to go more, but it looks like cooler heads will prevail. Not going to throw and counter throw up the high ground in today's game. Did see that Bloodthorn completed for Lyric, so back to a more impactful hero, I'd say. Farming up the Ancients. Looks like he just wasn't spotted up. See the new items that have come through. Giam with the completed Shivas. Ready to go. Yukola. A Eul Scepter on the back end as well to try and survive a little bit longer. Logigo again, a little bit of a psycho. Early Manta as well. Gonna pop the Omni Slash, but he's gonna bounce over to the Catapults, over to the Creeps. In some trouble. Static Storm, it's not gonna be on the mark in the spin. Gonna try and get him out of danger, but Kong on the front side. BKB, they're gonna go on to Leshrac, and who's really winning this fight? Well, Juggy's dragged into the back, but Leshrac also caught out on the front, so Magic trying to find the damage that he can. It's absolute chaos, this fight. Logigo is surviving through it all, and Magic pumping out the damage on the backside, still Pavan surviving. Now, the splitter, it's starting to bounce around to the fight. Magic, the BKB's worn off. Logigo falling low as well. Brown Heroes just they can't stand up to the damage. Both of them gonna go down the big course fall. And on the backside, Tide able to find the TP, so 3 for 1. It's just Disruptor they're able to find. USF Heroes so incredibly low, but not getting killed off at the back of the fight. An absolute chaos. Oh, sorry about that, as we're still on slow motion. Slow motion replay.
Dire's middle barracks has fallen.
But again, it looks like Magic was going to be able to clean house and just had to turn and run away, and that's the beginning of the end, as with the fights though split, neither Brown Core able to find victory over their matches on the USF side. End up just cleaning house. Aegis tossed into the hands of Slark. G's over on Slardar as well, so USF swinging the game, swinging the momentum back into their favor. Are still raxed down. So it looks like the mid-range racks in the midst of it all ended up going down to some creeps. But 34-29, the net worth lead shrinks to a mere 0 for Brown. Has some scary items coming out for USF, actually. The Nullifiers, I believe it's going to be a second one as well. Clinks Had it queued up. Revenant's Brooch. Also a potential idea. Trying to deal with the Ethereal Blades. The Hunter with the BKB picked up as well. This is a fresh one. And just going to run straight into Magic. Taking a lot of damage. Bash coming through. The save. It's not going to be there. The BKB comes through the force stop as well. Needing to get away. Oh, the Eul Scepter mid-pounce. What a grab from Yakola. Saving Magic's life. But there's no BKB to work with the glimpse back. Oh, they had the vision. Lina just going to go down. Static Storm dropped over the top. In celebration, perhaps. Not needed to find the kills. Lyric in the base. Dob in the base. They're looking. The Nullifier dropped just a little bit late. Able to get back to the Fountain. The charge through. Going to make sure that his team can get out of danger. But Kong forced to use the BKB to save his own life. Still 60 seconds. No Lina. As USF able to extricate themselves from the base. Did see in the meantime a great job from Gion, who was able to cut an extra wave up top. So no tower pressure coming out of this one, and Brown able to get themselves back to the base so they don't lose any additional kills. But this game is starting to feel hard. Lina not the same threat she once was, starting to fall behind in the network as well. And Jugwell still building towards the Aghanims, but wants to have buyback, so not the easiest way for him to get into fights for the time being. And last couple of fights as well, we've seen him just positioned a little bit awkwardly on the front. So gonna have to clean that up a bit in order to take this all-important, next fight or two. Looks like high ground gonna be the call. USF, even though Lina is spawning 4 seconds, want to start to work on this mid tower. They want to even up the racks in the mid lane. Glyph comes through, was in that protection time, so gonna have the renewed one for the Raxes as well, even though the tier 3 tower does go down. So the Aghanim Scepter picked up for Giga Chad on this Disruptor. Absolutely impactful item here. Always such a big pickup to see the Disruptors grab this Aghanim Scepter. It's always the build. I should say almost always the build. Might see a Blink coming out next. That's the traditional follow-up. Just make sure you're positioned in a way to get key Static Storms off every fight. But for now, USF, well, they're just headed straight back up the high ground. Gonna start to do some work onto the tier 3 towers. And the Glyph gonna be forced out. Still, not the best poke coming out from Brown either. They're playing quite scared. As Tavern just able to poke at the high ground, not the one with Aegis. That would be on to Dob. And with with Aegis expiring in 45 seconds, very hesitant for Brown to go on this fight. Now the BKB jump Ravage forward, but they're looking for Disruptor. Are they going to be able to find him on the backside? Able to drop out the Static Storm. Not really going to connect onto many heroes. Logigo on the back, but forced to run back up to his high ground as he's running out of spell immunity. Just the one kill on the backside. That's the Disruptor, but Logigo in tons of trouble here. The Healing Ward saving him for the time being, but now we'll go down. Double buybacks come through, and it's 2 kills to 1 so far, early days into the fight. As the racks go down on the top side, USF trying to get out. Dob falling low, 12 seconds on the Aegis. But on the backside, there's the buyback from the Spirit Breaker, falling super low, 100 seconds on the deck. He'll go down. Aegis popped, as well as Hunter going down, 90 seconds with no him. But Dob looking to clean up this fight, looking to clean up the game. He's able to jump in, takes down Gion. Yakola going to be caught out perhaps under the tier 4 towers. Dob thinking about going forward, but gonna let Cooler Head to prevail and focus on the Rag with Magic 2-man stun. This time gonna be jumped on. The Nullifier dropped over as well. The Disruption to save. Underneath the tier 4 tower still Tavin with the Splitters. They're starting to rain down. Geo on the backside was forced to buy back and able to find the kill onto Lyric. Trying to chase forward for more. The Anchor gonna be dropped over the top as well, and Logigo is back into the fight. Starting to pump out the damage. It's gonna be Disruptor going down. Excuse me, it's gonna be not the Disruptors. Tavin started to put a lot of damage. Bloodstone finally picked up on this hero, and we can see the absolute menace that he is on the backside. Logigo trying to go toe-to-toe with Dob, but nothing doing there. The 2-man LSA holding him back. Gets Logigo out just barely. playing on the edge of that Swift Slash cooldown. Bit off a little bit more than he could chew, and you can see that it's so hard for Jug to fight into the Slark at this point in time. Just barely able to escape, and long drawn out fight. You can see the buybacks coming through. Was a dieback on the Disruptor as well. But after all is said and done, USF still setting the pace. Slark died with Aegis, about 10 seconds remaining on that timer as well, so Brown not able to capitalize on the expiry. They did end up losing the top set as well as the ranged racks in the mid lane. So going to be down the racks themselves now. As the game 38-35 for Brown, but down 10k net worth as USF have taken complete control over this game, and feels so incredibly hard for Brown to take any sort of fight in. As Tide doesn't have the damage. As, I mean, you can just see, Slardar with 4,500 HP, Leshrac with 4,000 HP, Slark playing with Shadow Dance, playing with Depth Shroud, and playing with ways to get not only himself but also his teammates out of jams. And Tide been struggling for the damage, but also Lina. I mean, we haven't seen magic popping off on this Lina like we've seen Lina's do in the past. Not able to find the 100 to zeros. I mean, I say that. He's 15-8, by the way, but just feels like as we've hit this 37-minute plus mark, had such a hard time killing off Heroes 100 to 0. Swift Slash comes through top, starting to fall low. Wasn't in any real danger, however. And again, so reliant on finding a good Ravage, but GM, it feels like that's all he really has is the one Ravage, and then that's the end of that. Gonna be Glimpse Back Disruption. Gonna save him from that, but GM still caught in the midst of it all. Gonna be forced to pop the Ravage and try and get the hell out of there. And on the backside, Lyric, well, he's gonna tank up an Omni Slash. Able to get invis. Do they have the detection? Lyric surviving through it all will eventually go down. Did lose Tide on the backside. Shadow Demon as well gonna pay the price. And Fawn starting to fall low. No BKB available. Able to get back to his Fountain, and he'll reset. Buyback comes through from Shadow Demon, but Lina on the backside. Vi's back was caught out inside of that Static Storm. Tavin gonna be caught by the LSA, calling back into the fight, and the Swift Slash coming through. Logigo, no Omni Slash to work with, and where's your damage? Magic falling so low, needs to get out of there, needs the Force Staff, he's got it, but is it enough to get him back from the Fountain? No, the extra pulse comes through, Tavin takes him down, 118 seconds, no Lina. Just Juggernaut and Shadow Demon to try and hold against the world. USF, they're gonna head for the bot lane of Rax, they're gonna take down the Megas first. But 36 seconds until Tide. The bigger one, 100 seconds until Lina, and that was the dieback. And Tier 4's gonna now be the target. Rax in the bot lane are abandoned. Logigo gonna try his best, but Swift Slash bounces back to the wagons. Logigo in a lot of trouble to spin. Gonna try and get himself away. But at any point, USF could just decide to focus on the Tier 4s, and that's what they're doing here. Disruption. Gonna save Jug from getting glimpsed back in, but the last glyph going to be used, one Tier 4 left, and just 200 HP on that one. Tavin continuing to go to work with the Diabolic Edict. He's going to be up in just a couple of seconds as well. Logigo trying his best, doing so much damage, but he's not able to find enough onto any hero. He actually is able to find Giga Chad on the backside. Tide has respawned in the midst of it all. Gion playing around that fountain regen as well, and Disruption on the front side. Logigo this time not going to have enough to survive through the damage. 125 seconds, and that one certainly will end it. Good game, gonna be called. 47 minutes. It's gonna take USF the world, but they are able to claim this series victory 2-0. A much better showing than game number 1, as Brown, very strong fight throughout that game, and USF able to clench it out at the end of it all. Definitely not the clean 2-0 series win that USF were looking for, taking that one 42-40 in 47 minutes. And just a quick look at the graph, you can see that really for 40 minutes it was anyone's game. For the entire 40 minutes as well, it never really swung super far Brown's way, never swung too far USF's way until Brown really kind of did run out of damage. But I don't know. It's one of those things where they just run out of rope. But what a comeback from Braun in this game number 2. After getting absolutely rolled game number 1, it's so incredibly hard to come back into a game. I mean, we've all felt it in you play pubs, you have a really shit game, you bring that mentality with you, you're mad, you make mistakes in the lane, you make mistakes in the game, you're not playing coordinated Dota. And Braun, they were able to take 5-8 minute break, mentally reset, came out strong, game number 2. Got off to a pretty great start and, continued that showing through 35-40 minutes of Dota, eventually just running out of rope. But strong game from them, and despite going down as a 2-0 loss to USF here, a lot of good takeaways for Braun as well. So they are going to drop to 2-1 on the series, but showing that they can stick with these top dogs in the division. So absolutely good news for them coming out of this series despite the loss. And USF, well, great stuff. Coming out as always. Not too much more to be said there. Looks like might be able to grab someone in here for an interview. So let me toss us to just a minute or two break while we get things set up, and be right back with looks like Hunter's going to be joining us on stream again. So we'll see you in just a minute for a quick talk with Hunter CJR.
Got drunk off your love, and I lost myself again. You hit just like a drug. This time I won't let you in. You're playing with fire. No, I didn't on the play, but this time I won't collide like I did yesterday. You broke my heart once again. I won't buy the toast in return. I can't give it, I can't give it, I won't give it this time. You broke my heart once again. When you're bad, but you're bad for me. I can't give it, I can't give it. I've already run so far from the light of the day. I can't go back to you. I'm stronger today. Been to the dark side, I don't know. So if you wanna shoot far away, I won't go back to you. I'm stronger, I'm stronger, I'm stronger today. I'm stronger today. Tú tienes la pócima para enloquecerme, pero voy a draw the line. Que yo ya sé que es de ti. I got to stay away, got to stay away. Sé que como un trofeo quieres tenerme, pero I don't need no one. Que yo ya sé que es de ti. I got to stay away, got to stay away. No, 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 baby, no, 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 no setbacks. No, 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 baby, no, 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 this time.
All right, we're back, and Hunter is joining us today, and he's not muted, I promise. He's not muted for 8 minutes of, I think it was something like that. I think it was like 8 minutes.
Yeah, it was a bit.
But, let me just play with your audio real quick. There we go, should be better. All right, Hunter is joining us, and that was a fun series. I mean, game 1, you guys had to feel super strong, huh?
Yeah. We scouted this team a good amount because I think Brown's a really good team, and I think Game 2 really showed how good of a team they were. And I think Game 1, we got a lot of the stuff that we knew would be good into them, and we banned out a lot of their heroes, and we felt very confident after Game 1. And then Game 2 was another story, but...
Yeah, game two was a lot of fun. Game two was a very like back and forth affair. I mean, I think that the win probability never really dipped above. I think it was like 60% or like 63%, something like that, for like the first 40 minutes of the game. So it's got to be more fun to play. I mean, I know it's fun to stomp officials, but it's got to be more fun to play in the tight games like that.
Yeah, it's stressful, but it's I mean, that's what Dota's for, right? You don't want a boring game. You don't want to just roll everyone. Yeah, the game 2, they definitely... We banned Jug game 1, and we were like, there's no way they pick it first rotation, right? And then they picked it, and it was pretty good. He farmed up well, and I felt like that and Lina were our two biggest issues that game.
Yeah, absolutely. And Lina's always a menace to play into, I think.
Yeah.
But walk me through this Klinks pickup. We see it first phased in game number 2. It was second pick, game number 1?
Lyric, who is our 4 player, just picks what he likes to pick. He tells us what he thinks is good, and then if we work it into the draft, then... Or if we're able to work it into the draft, then we pick it. Last season, I played a lot of Klinks too when I was playing for, and Lyric was mid. And it's good if you have an aggressive player like Lyric, and if you're able to... usually you pick it with a more utility 3, but we did aggro with it both times. It worked. It's really good at extending a lead, especially a lane lead, and we were pretty confident going into the lane. So... felt pretty good.
Yeah, I was actually surprised game 2 by the Phylactery. Game 1 we saw the Orchid Rush. I was expecting something similar in game 2, but it seems like Lyric thinks the Phylactery is strong. I mean, I know you weren't playing it, so I won't go too into it. It was just, is that something that, you know, is like, how much are the items talked about by the team pre-game or during the game versus just everyone builds their stuff?
We generally know what everyone's going to pick, or build, and then if we do a different build, we say it in draft, like if we're planning on it. And we decided that Phylactery is less good this game to rush because Jug is already going to have Manta, like that's just a hero that built it early. Phylactery, or sorry, Tidehunter doesn't care as much, and then Spirit Breaker, if he gets his W, doesn't care as much. Plus, they already had save, so it's less blow up. It was able to help us more in mid-game fights because it does more damage. And then he transitioned into the Orchid anyways later game, so that he was able to follow up because he was less the initiator. Orchid's better if you have someone that's just hunting with you. So we didn't need it as much on game 2, we felt like. But we discussed it a little beforehand.
Cool. I do want to, pivot gears a little bit and just hear kind of your guys' thoughts on 7.35C, if it's going to be agreeing with you, how much prep that you've done or how much reading of the notes that you've done. It's been, about 24 hours? I think it got released to servers late last night.
Yeah, we talked about it, and I talked with our coach. Our coach is DNM, I spoke about him previously. He's a very, very good, very high rank player and streamer.
Is he still on a team at the moment? Sorry, I'm cutting you off from my previous question with the new one.
He is not currently, but he is streaming very frequently on his Twitch stream, which is... Not to plug on your stream, but twitch.tv/DNM.
I don't know if DNM needs the plug for the...
DNM9.
the 20 viewers that we get of...
Hey, I'm always happy to send him 20 more viewers, man. If anyone wants to learn, specifically Gary is what he plays on stream, but anyone, any hero, I'm sure he would help you guys out. And he does coaching also, which is what he does for our team. And I talked to him pretty extensively about the draft. We talked about more changes in priority with the DK nerfs, which we picked a lot last series, Mage Slayer nerfs, and then one of the changes was, and Tavin was the one also who talked about this, was picking Leshrac because of all the Leshrac buffs, and then the nerfs to Mage Slayer means that, that was one of the big reasons Leshrac wasn't so good, was Mage Slayer extremely good. and he's like one of those melee mages. So him, Pudge, they get shut down pretty hard by Mage Slayer. Because Mage Slayer's not as good, we felt more confident picking it. And we also saw their carry, and usually Jug doesn't want a Mage Slayer anyways. So we felt more confident picking it, and the damage that game was very heavy on Tavin, especially late game team fights. He did a lot of AoE damage in fights. And that was just something we got from reading the patch notes and talking about it amongst ourselves and DNM in our group chat.
Yeah, I'm with you on the Lesh. That was the kind of my first takeaway heroes-wise, was that Lesh could potentially be a monster this patch, and we'll have to see how that shakes out. But yeah, I mean, that's super exciting, and it's super cool that you get to talk with, your coach, talk with DNM about the patch kind of going into these games, because I think a lot of teams are still trying to catch up in that regard. So super cool to have DNM as a coach. I don't know if we really addressed it. It might have been during the muted part of the interview last week, but I can second DNM being a great tool to learn from, at least from the offline and watching replays aspect. So definitely go and check him out. You said it was DNM9 on Twitch?
Yeah, DNM9_ on Twitch, and I feel like he is one of the better carry players at explaining his thought process among picking stuff. Because a lot of streamers, which, I mean, obviously no fault of their own, and it's very entertaining to watch, but they're more leaning on the entertainment value and less on the learning. And I feel DNM does a good mix of both entertaining and teaching as he does it, talking about, he'll answer viewer questions a lot. I feel like I'm just plugging his stream here, which I feel bad about, but he is a resource that we like using both streams and off stream. So,
well, that's what it's all about. So, yeah, kind of the last thing that I've got now is you guys are up to 3-0 on the season. That makes it 6-0 game score as well. Big match coming up against University of Toronto, specifically Toronto Boundless next week, and. There's not been easy games up to now, but definitely going to be a true litmus test of your roster. So, you guys have any thoughts looking ahead to next week?
I mean, I think I said it last week, and I'll say it again. I think the two, not counting us, because it's hard to rate your own team, but I think the two best teams are probably Toronto and Georgia Tech in this group. I also do think that Brown was like one of our top 4 teams when we rated them, so we're pretty happy on how the series went today. But looking forward, I do think Toronto and Georgia Tech are a team that we're looking forward to facing, to know how strong we are in relation, and also looking forward to having some good games. We're pretty excited about it.
Yeah, that's super exciting. Gonna make sure to tune into that one. Hopefully that one's not rescheduled, or hopefully if it is, get to hear about it in advance.
Yeah,
I said it was the last one. I'm actually interested, just thinking about reschedules. This season seems to be more reschedule heavy than previously, and I'd like to hear, if you guys have any thoughts on, stuff seems to be last minute, if that's, taxing in any way.
Yeah, I mean, it's annoying when it has to, but it's also understandable. Stuff happens. It's only 2 weeks in. Hopefully rosters are going to get a little more stable, or well, three weeks in, I guess, but
yeah,
hopefully rosters get a little more stable in the times they know they can play and when they can't, and hopefully there will be less time changes going forward. But I mean, as long as we get to play, we're happy.
Absolutely, and I think that's a sentiment that we have around most of the league, which does end up for, making sure all the games get played instead of teams just kind of desperately clawing for forfeit wins. Wednesday at 7 rolls around and you have 3 out of 4 forfeits or something like we've seen in the past. So
yeah,
definitely
hopefully there's no
there.
Forfeits. Yeah,
there's been a couple throughout the week 1 and 2. I think we're averaging 1 forfeit a week, which is kind of unfortunate.
Yeah, that's kind of high.
Yeah, I know week 1 we had one. It was kind of out of control of people, and then looks like week 2 and 3, we might have had one each as well. So yeah, like one a week. It's a little high for my liking, but it is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. You can't control it.
Yeah.
Hopefully it'll go down, like I said, as everything stabilizes more. But, I mean, again, as long as we get to play, we're happy.
Yeah, absolutely. And you guys have been pretty happy when you play as well. So
yeah,
that's all the questions I have for you. If you have any final thoughts, Hunter, it's always great to have you on for the interview.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate it. Again, I'm just shouting out all the casters we've had. I mean, obviously you cast most of our games, and we're really appreciative of that. And then Michigan is starting to cast their own games. That's great. The more the merrier, in my opinion. I would like to get more eyes on the product as much as we can and just play some good Dota. I think the teams are also... I'm not sure if it's because it's more concentrated or if it's just how our schedule was, but the teams overall feel a little better this season. So it's good to get some good Dota out there, and hopefully it'll get casted more, and we'll get more people in there, and then get more eyes on it, because these games have been a blast so far. Excited to see how the rest of the season is.
Absolutely, yeah. Just speaking to that last point before we sign off about the teams being a little bit better, I was going through before the season started just to grab rankings of players to see what day-to-day lineups were going to look like, and it looks like in the East our lowest average lineup, our lowest like average 5-man roster the team should be putting out is like around Ancient for the bottom, couple teams in the East Division. So it's a lot higher than we've seen in the past when we see, lineups really break out the, Herald and Crusader to go with the, Immortal Laner.
Yeah.
So it's definitely,
you have to, though.
I think it's as programs are maturing, I think is where that comes from a lot, is... I know talking with teams, a lot of teams are, communicating that it's a struggle to find new players since COVID, really. The recruiting has kind of gone downhill. So the class is maturing. A lot of players are, juniors and seniors or grad students nowadays. So we've definitely concentrated the pool.
Yeah. I also do think, too, as it matures, people are improving in rank. Like, that's what happened with me. I started, I think a year and a half ago, and I was Legend at the time, and now I'm in High Divine. I feel like if you want to improve in Dota, the best way to play it, because it is a team game, is to practice with your team,
Oh, absolutely. So. I'm with you 100% there. Well, thanks again, Hunter, for joining on. Like I said, it's always a pleasure to have you on and be casting your game, unless anything goes wrong next week against University of Toronto. So any USF fans, make sure to stick around for that series and pay attention to the schedule. We'll make sure to get those for you. So, yeah, thanks again, Hunter.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I always appreciate you casting us. It's always a great time. And, I'm looking forward to next week. Hopefully we'll be able to pull out another win against Toronto. And I'm excited to see how their game goes. They're up next, right? Excited for that, too.
So I believe they are live against UMN. I might actually jump into that game off the ticket. I'm a little bit worried if we won't be able to catch up, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Thanks again. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on. See you later.
See you.
All right, so that was Hunter CJR. Big shout out to him coming on. For this cast, I'm Cool Hands. Not quite signing off because, like I just said to Hunter, looks like we do have University of Toronto versus UMN kicking off or having kicked off. So just gonna poke my toe into that game real quick and see the lay of the land, see the status if I can't get in there. It's a little bit rough in the lobby, so before I toss it over to a break or before I figure out what's going on, let's take a quick look. And it looks like we are about 20 minutes in, so let's throw it over live to that game, actually. This is close to live. This is on the ticket delay. Go ahead and change the title as well. This is University of Toronto and University of Minnesota.